What if I told you that your life has never been random? That everything, every joy, every hardship, has been a part of a divine blueprint designed specifically for you. You're not here by accident. You're not just another soul in a sea of billions. You've been chosen, hand-picked by the Creator, to fulfill a purpose so unique, so powerful, that no one else in this world could ever take your place. And the moment you fully grasp this, everything changes. You might be wondering, why me? Why would God choose you when you felt so lost, so overlooked, or so broken? But think about this. Diamonds are forged under the greatest pressure. The most breathtaking masterpieces are painted on blank, unremarkable canvases. And in the same way, your struggles, your doubts, even those moments where you've questioned your own worth, they've all been shaping you, preparing you, for something far greater than you could imagine. Being chosen doesn't mean being perfect, it means being prepared. You've probably felt it, haven't you? That lingering sense that you're different, that you don't quite fit in with the crowd. Maybe you've been misunderstood, labeled as too sensitive or too intense. But that's not a flaw. It's a sign. Chosen ones are often set apart from the beginning, feeling the weight of a world that doesn't understand them because they were never meant to blend in. You're not here to follow the crowd. You're here to lead, to awaken, to transform that yearning for more that you've carried all your life. It's not an accident. It's a whisper from the divine, calling you to step into your destiny. But here's the part they don't tell you. Being chosen isn't always easy. The path of a chosen one is rarely smooth or simple. It's a journey filled with challenges, tests, and moments of profound uncertainty. And yet, every obstacle you face is designed to strengthen you, to shape you into someone who can carry the responsibility of greatness. Because, make no mistake, being chosen is not just a privilege. It's a responsibility, a sacred duty to rise above the ordinary and live as a reflection of God's love, wisdom, and purpose. Think about it. Have you ever felt like your life didn't make sense, like the pieces just didn't fit together? That's because you were looking at it through a limited lens. When you start to see your life as part of a divine plan, those broken pieces begin to form a masterpiece. The struggles you've endured weren't punishments, they were preparations. Each tear, each setback, each heartbreak was a step in your training, a lesson in strength, compassion, and faith. But let's be clear, the kind of richness we're talking about isn't just about material wealth. True abundance goes far deeper than dollars in a bank account or the size of your home. Spiritual abundance is eternal. It's the peace that comes from knowing you're walking in alignment with God's will. It's the joy that fills your heart when you serve others, using the gifts you've been given to make a difference in the world. It's the unshakable faith that sustains you, even when life feels uncertain. And yes, when you align with God's purpose, material blessings often follow, but not as the goal. They're simply tools to help you fulfill your mission. You might be wondering, how do I know if I'm truly chosen? The signs are all around you if you're willing to see them. Chosen ones are often drawn to the path of self-discovery. You feel a deep, unexplainable hunger for meaning, for truth, for something greater than yourself. You've faced trials that would break most people, yet here you are, still standing, and despite everything you've kept your heart open, still seeking love, still wanting to help others, still longing for connection with the divine. But let me tell you this, being chosen doesn't mean life will suddenly become easy. It means you've been entrusted with a sacred mission, and that requires faith. Faith to trust God's timing, even when it doesn't match your own. Faith to walk through the valleys, knowing they'll lead to higher ground. Faith to surrender your fears, doubts, and need for control, and let God guide your steps. The world will try to distract you from this truth. It will tell you to chase success, to measure your worth by your achievements or possessions, but deep down you know that none of that can fill the void in your soul. True success isn't about climbing a corporate ladder or amassing wealth. It's about living a life that honors your divine purpose. It's about becoming the person God created you to be. So, how do you step into this calling? It begins with surrender, not a passive giving up, but an active choice to place your trust in God's plan, to stop striving for things that don't serve you and start aligning with what truly matters. Take time to reflect, pray, meditate, listen for the whispers of your soul, and when you feel that nudge, that quiet, undeniable pull, don't ignore it. That's God speaking to you, guiding you toward your destiny. When you surrender to God's plan, something incredible happens. You start to notice the synchronicities, the divine timing of events that seem too perfect to be coincidences. You find doors opening where there were once walls. You feel a sense of peace, even in the midst of uncertainty, because you know you're walking in alignment with a higher purpose. You might not see the whole path right now, and that's okay. Faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting the one who does. You're not walking this journey alone. God is with you, guiding you, shaping you, preparing you for everything you're meant to do. And as you align with His plan, you'll find a richness that no amount of money could ever buy, a richness of spirit, of purpose, of love. But make no mistake, this is a choice. God's plan is always there, but it won't force itself on you. You have to choose to step into it, to let go of the fear, the doubt, the need for control, to trust that God's ways are higher than your ways, His thoughts higher than your thoughts. This is your invitation, your moment to say yes to the calling that has been placed on your life. Because you are chosen, you are loved. And from this moment forward, it is God's duty to guide you into the fullness of your purpose. There's a beautiful shift that happens when you say yes to God's plan. Suddenly, the things that used to matter, chasing approval, accumulating things, fitting into societal molds, they start to lose their grip on you. You realize they were never meant to define you. What matters now is alignment, alignment with the divine, alignment with the gifts you were created to fulfill. Here indeed is the purpose you were created to fulfill. But let's talk about those gifts for a moment, because as a chosen one, you've been uniquely equipped for the mission ahead. You might not fully realize it yet, but the talents, passions, and even the quirks that make you who you are, they're not random. They're clues, divine breadcrumbs, pointing you toward your purpose. Have you ever noticed how certain activities make you feel alive? How certain moments feel like they flow effortlessly? That's no coincidence. That's your spirit recognizing its alignment with God's design. Maybe you're a natural leader, someone who inspires others with your courage and vision, or perhaps you're a healer with the ability to bring comfort and restoration to those in pain. Maybe you're an artist, a communicator, or someone with a knack for solving problems. Whatever it is, know this: your gifts aren't just for you. They're meant to be shared, to uplift, to heal, to inspire. That's the beauty of divine purpose. It's never just about the individual. It's about the ripple effect, the impact you're meant to have on the lives around you. And this is where faith becomes so important, because stepping into your gifts, owning your calling, often requires you to leave your comfort zone. It might mean walking away from a job that doesn't align with your purpose. It might mean pursuing a dream that feels risky or uncertain. It might mean saying no to the expectations of others so you can say yes to the expectations of God. This is not the easy path, but it is the right. You might feel fear rising up as you think about these changes. That's normal. Fear is a natural response when you're on the edge of transformation. But here's the truth. Fear is not your enemy. It's a signal that you're stepping into new territory, a sign that you're growing. The key is not to let fear dictate your actions. Instead, let your faith be bigger than your fear. Trust that God will equip you for whatever He's calling you to do. The world may not understand your path. In fact, it often won't. Society is obsessed with quick fixes, instant gratification, and superficial success. But as a chosen one, you're called to something deeper. You're called to a life of meaning, of substance, of eternal impact. That means rejecting the world's definition of success. It means understanding that your worth doesn't come from titles, bank accounts, or social media followers. Your worth comes from the Creator who designed you, who knows you by name, who has a plan for your life that's greater than anything you could dream up on your own. And let's not forget the most powerful part of this journey. You're not doing it alone. When you say yes to God's plan, you're inviting the divine to walk alongside you, to guide you, to open doors no human could ever shut. The Bible says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." That's not just a nice sentiment, it's a promise. When you align your actions with God's will, you're not just relying on your own strength, you're tapping into a limitless source of wisdom, power, and grace. But here's the thing, you have to be willing to listen. God speaks in many ways, through prayer, through scripture, through the people and situations around you. But the most profound guidance often comes in the stillness, in those quiet moments when you tune out the noise of the world and tune into the voice of your soul. How often do you make space for that stillness? How often do you pause to ask God, "What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go?" These aren't just questions, they're acts of surrender, acts of trust. And when you start to listen, truly listen, something incredible happens. You begin to notice the signs, the synchronicities, the ways that God is constantly guiding you. Maybe it's a conversation that gives you clarity on a decision you've been wrestling with. Maybe it's an opportunity that comes out of nowhere, perfectly aligned with your gifts. Or maybe it's just a sense of peace, a deep knowing that you're on the right path. These moments aren't coincidences, they're divine appointments, reminders that you're exactly where you need to be. But here's an important truth. Alignment doesn't mean perfection. You're still human. You'll still make mistakes, stumble, and question yourself at times, and that's okay. God doesn't expect you to have it all figured out. He just asks that you trust Him, that you take the next step in faith, even when the full path isn't clear. Remember, the same God who created the stars and the oceans, if He can hold the universe together, He can hold you together too. There will be moments when the weight of your calling feels heavy, moments when the challenges seem too great or the doubts too loud. In those moments, remember this. You were chosen not because you're perfect, but because you're willing, because you have a heart that seeks truth, a spirit that refuses to settle for mediocrity, a soul that longs to fulfill its divine purpose. And in those moments of struggle, lean into God. Let His strength carry you when yours feels insufficient. Let His light guide you when the path feels dark. This is your journey, your calling, your moment to step into the fullness of who you were created to be. The world needs you, the real you. Not the version of you that tries to fit in or play small, but the bold, courageous, purpose-driven you that God intended. And as you step into that truth, you'll discover a richness that's beyond anything this world can offer. A richness of spirit, of love, of peace. You've been chosen for a reason. Not to follow the crowd, but to lead. Not to chase fleeting pleasures, but to create lasting impact. Not to live in fear, but to walk in faith. This is your time to rise, to embrace the calling on your life, and to trust that God's plan is bigger, better, and more beautiful than anything you could imagine. You might be wondering, what happens when I fully step into this calling? What does life actually look like when I align myself with God's purpose? The truth is, it's not about instant perfection or sudden clarity. It's about transformation, gradual, powerful, undeniable transformation. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that you never thought possible, a version of you that no longer seeks approval from the world, but stands confidently in the approval of God. When you embrace this divine path, you begin to notice that life doesn't feel as heavy as it once did. The things that used to stress you, the situations that drained your energy start to lose their hold on you. Why? Because your focus shifts. You're no longer fixated on what others think or on trying to control every outcome. Instead, your energy is centered on faith, trust, and alignment. And in that space, miracles happen. You'll find that doors begin to open, doors you couldn't have forced open even if you tried. Opportunities will arise that feel almost too good to be true, but they're not. They're the result of walking in obedience, of trusting God to lead you where you need to go. And when challenges come, and they will, you'll face them with a strength and peace that you didn't know you had, because when God is with you, even the greatest storms can't shake you. But let's address something important, the temptation to compare. It's easy to look at others who seem to have it all figured out and think, why am I not there yet? Why does their path look easier or more glamorous than mine? But here's the truth. Comparison is the enemy of purpose. Your journey is yours and yours alone. It's been tailor-made by the Creator to prepare you for the unique mission you've been given. No one else can walk your path, and you're not meant to walk theirs. So when you catch yourself comparing, remember this: God's timing for you is perfect. Trust it. Another thing you'll notice as you align with God's plan is a deepening sense of gratitude. You start to see even the smallest blessings as miracles. The sunrise becomes a reminder of new beginnings. The kind word of a stranger feels like a divine message. The challenges you face, instead of breaking you, become opportunities to grow and lean on God's strength. Gratitude transforms your perspective, and in doing so it transforms your reality. When you operate from a place of gratitude, you attract even more to be grateful for. Now, let's talk about the people in your life. As you step into your calling, some relationships will shift. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to fulfill your purpose. Some people might distance themselves, not because they don't care, but because your growth challenges them to confront their own. And others will come into your life. People who align with your purpose, who support your vision, who encourage your faith. These are your soul connections, the ones who remind you that you're never alone on this path. As you grow spiritually, you'll also find yourself letting go of the things that no longer serve you. Old habits, limiting beliefs, toxic patterns, they'll start to fall away as you step into the person God created you to be. And this isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about becoming more and more aligned with your highest self, the version of you that reflects God's light in everything you do. But here's something you need to know. Walking this path doesn't mean you'll never feel doubt or fear again. It doesn't mean you won't have moments of questioning or moments when you feel like giving up. Those moments will come, but they're not signs that you're failing. They're signs that you're growing. Because every step of faith requires you to confront your doubts and choose to trust anyway. Think about the greatest stories in history. Stories of people who changed the world, who inspired generations, who left a legacy of faith and courage. None of those stories were without struggle. Moses doubted his ability to lead. Esther feared approaching the king. David faced giants, both literal and figurative. But what set them apart wasn't their lack of fear. It was their faith, their willingness to trust God even when the path seemed impossible. And that same faith is available to you. It's not reserved for the spiritual elite or those who seem to have it all together. It's for anyone who's willing to believe, to take that first step, even when they can't see the whole staircase. It's for you. So, what does it mean to live as a chosen one every single day? It means waking up with intention. It means starting your day with gratitude, acknowledging the gift of life and the opportunities it holds. It means asking God, what would you have me do today? How can I serve your purpose? And then it means listening, really listening, because God's guidance doesn't always come in grand gestures or booming voices. Often it's a quiet whisper, a subtle nudge, a feeling in your heart that says, this is the way, walk in it. Living as a chosen one also means taking care of yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit. You can't pour from an empty cup, and your purpose requires you to be at your best. That doesn't mean perfection. It means stewardship, nourishing your body with good food and movement, feeding your mind with wisdom and positivity, and most importantly, feeding your spirit with prayer, meditation, and connection to the divine. And let's not forget the power of community. As much as your journey is personal, it's also communal. You're not meant to walk this path alone. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who challenge you to grow, who remind you of your purpose when you forget. And just as importantly, be that person for someone else. Encourage others in their journey. Share your story, your lessons, your faith. Because your light doesn't diminish when you share it, it grows. There's a ripple effect to living your purpose. When you step into your calling, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage gives them courage. Your faith strengthens their faith. Your light reminds them of their own. And that's how change happens. Not through grand gestures, but through the collective impact of individuals living their truth, one day at a time. This is what it means to be chosen, not to be perfect, but to be purposeful. Not to have all the answers, but to trust the one who does. Not to walk an easy path, but to walk a meaningful one. This is your invitation to step into the fullness of your calling, to embrace the richness that comes from living in alignment with God's will, and to trust that your life has been designed for something extraordinary. When you live as a chosen one, something remarkable happens. You stop chasing and you start attracting. The endless striving, the exhausting push to make things happen, it begins to fade. Instead, you step into a flow, a divine rhythm where opportunities, resources, and connections seem to come to you effortlessly. But let's be clear, this isn't magic, it's alignment. It's what happens when your actions, your thoughts, and your energy resonate with the plan God has already set in motion for your life. You see, the universe responds to alignment. When you operate from a place of faith, purpose, and trust, you send a powerful signal. It's as if you're declaring to God, "I'm ready. I trust you. I'll walk the path you've laid before me." And when you do that, the heavens move, not because you've earned it, but because you've aligned yourself with the abundant, unchanging nature of the divine. But alignment doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It's not about passivity, it's about intentionality. It means showing up every day as your highest self, doing your best with what you have and trusting God to handle the rest. It's the balance between effort and surrender, between action and faith. You plant the seeds, you water them, but you trust God to bring the harvest. And let's talk about that trust, because it's not always easy, is it? There will be moments when the path feels unclear, when the weight of uncertainty threatens to crush your spirit. You'll wonder if you're on the right track, if you're doing enough, if God is truly with you. These moments are not meant to break you. They're meant to build you. Trust is like a muscle. It grows stronger with use. And the only way to strengthen it is to lean into it, especially when it feels hardest. So, how do you build trust in God? By remembering what He's already done for you. Think back to the times when you thought you wouldn't make it, when the odds were stacked against you, and yet here you are. Every breath you take, every sunrise you witness, is proof of God's faithfulness. He didn't bring you this far to abandon you now. Sometimes, trust means looking back and saying, if He was faithful then, He'll be faithful now. And here's something you need to hear. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to see the entire staircase to take the first step. God doesn't reveal the whole picture at once because He knows you don't need it all at once. He gives you just enough light for the step you're on, and that's all you need. Trust that He sees the bigger picture, that He's weaving your story into something beautiful, even when you can't see it yourself. As you walk this path, one of the greatest challenges you'll face is letting go. Letting go of control, letting go of the need to have all the answers, letting go of the things and people that no longer align with who you're becoming. Letting go isn't easy, but it's necessary, because when your hands are full of what's no longer meant for you, you can't receive the blessings God is trying to give you. Think about a tree in autumn. It doesn't cling to its leaves even though they've served it well. It lets them go, trusting that new growth will come in due time. In the same way, you must trust that whatever you release will make room for something better. Whether it's a toxic relationship, a limiting belief, or a fear that's held you back for years, when you let it go, you create space for God to move in ways you never imagined. And as you let go, you'll start to notice something beautiful, the emergence of your true self. Not the self shaped by societal expectations or the need for validation, but the self God created you to be. This is the version of you that's bold, compassionate, creative, and free. The version of you that knows your worth isn't tied to what you achieve, but to who you are in God's eyes. Living as your true self means embracing your uniqueness. You weren't created to fit into a mold. You were created to stand out, to shine in a way that only you can. That means owning your gifts, your passions, and even your quirks. It means understanding that the things that make you different are the very things that make you powerful. When you stop trying to be like everyone else and start embracing the person God made you to be, you unlock a level of freedom and joy that's indescribable. But let's not sugarcoat it. This journey isn't without sacrifice. Walking in your purpose often requires you to leave behind the familiar. It might mean stepping away from a job, a relationship, or even a lifestyle that no longer aligns with who you're becoming. These decisions are rarely easy, but they're necessary, because the truth is you can't take everything with you into your next season. Some things were meant to be lessons, not lifelong companions. And when you do make those sacrifices, know this: God sees you. He knows the weight of your decisions, the courage it takes to say no to what's comfortable in order to say yes to what's right, and He honors that. Every step of obedience, every act of faith, brings you closer to the life you were meant to live. As you continue on this path, you'll start to notice a shift in how you measure success. The world's metrics, money, status, followers, will lose their appeal. Instead, you'll find yourself measuring success by the impact you make, the lives you touch, the peace you carry within. You'll realize that true success isn't about what you have, it's about who you are and how you show up in the world. And as you live in alignment with your purpose, you'll inspire others to do the same. Your light will become a beacon, a reminder that it's possible to live a life of meaning, faith, and abundance. You won't have to preach or persuade. Your life will speak for itself. People will see the joy, the peace, the richness you carry, and they'll want to know where it comes from. And in those moments, you'll have the opportunity to point them back to the source of it all, God. This is what it means to live as a chosen one, to walk through life with purpose, courage, and trust, to embrace the fullness of who you are and the divine plan for your life, to let go of fear, doubt, and comparison, and step boldly into the abundance that's already waiting for you. You were chosen for this, not because you're perfect, but because you're willing, because you have a heart that seeks truth, a spirit that longs for meaning, and a soul that's ready to align with the Creator's plan. This is your time to rise, to live boldly, and to trust that God's plan for your life is greater than anything you could imagine. As you stand here now, on the edge of a new chapter in your life, I want you to take a deep breath and reflect. Reflect on how far you've come, on everything you've endured, on the moments when you felt like giving up but didn't. You're still here, and that's no accident. That's grace, that's purpose, that's God, reminding you that your story isn't finished yet. From this moment on, I want you to let go of the idea that you're not enough. You are enough, you've always been enough. The world may have told you otherwise, but the world doesn't define you. God does. And in His eyes, you were chosen, loved, and worthy. So stop hiding your light. Stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. Stop doubting the power and purpose that have been placed within you. It's time to rise, to step into the fullness of your calling, to live with intention, faith, and courage. This is your moment, not tomorrow, not someday. Right now, right here. The time to align with God's plan isn't in the future, it's now. Every day you wait is a day you could be walking in your purpose, living in alignment, and experiencing the richness of a life led by faith. And remember, this isn't just about you. Your journey, your purpose, your calling, it's all interconnected with the lives of others. There are people out there right now who need what only you can offer, people who are waiting for your story, your gifts, your light. When you step into your calling, you're not just transforming your own life, you're transforming the lives of everyone you touch. This is the ripple effect of purpose. This is how God works through you to make an impact that reaches far beyond what you can see. But don't get caught up in the pressure to have it all figured out. You don't need to know the entire plan to take the first step. Start small. Start where you are. Maybe it's committing to daily prayer or journaling to connect with your inner self. Maybe it's taking that leap of faith you've been putting off for years. Whatever it is, take that step today. Trust that as you move forward in faith, God will reveal the next step, and the next, and the next. And when fear creeps in, and it will, remind yourself of this truth. God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. You don't have to be perfect to walk in your purpose. You don't have to have all the answers. All you need is a willing heart and the courage to say yes. Yes to the journey. Yes to the unknown. Yes to the life you were created to live. As you move forward, hold on to this. Your life is a reflection of God's glory. Every challenge you overcome, every act of kindness, every step of faith, it all points back to Him. You were created to be a vessel of love, hope, and light. And when you live in alignment with that truth, you become unstoppable, not because of your own strength, but because of the strength of the One who walks with you. So what will you choose today? Will you choose fear, or will you choose faith? Will you stay in the comfort of what's familiar, or will you step boldly into the unknown? Will you settle for a life of mediocrity, or will you embrace the extraordinary life God has planned for you? The choice is yours, but remember this: you were not created to play small. You were created to shine, to lead, to make a difference. And the world is waiting for you to step into that truth. This is your time, your calling, your destiny. You are a chosen one, not by chance, but by design. And from this moment forward, it's God's duty to guide you, to walk with you, to provide for you as you fulfill the mission only you can complete. Trust Him, lean into Him, and watch as He transforms your life in ways you never thought possible. Now, take a deep breath and step forward. Step into the richness, the peace, the purpose that have been waiting for you all along. This is your moment to rise, to shine, to embrace the divine calling that has been placed on your life. You are chosen, you are loved, and you are ready.